I watched Avengers Endgame. Really, this film needs no introduction at all. It's 11 years of 21 films, I think, a culmination of this entire Marvel Cinematic Universe until 2 months later when Spider-Man comes out. So we know there's going to be constant iterations of these films for probably ever until we die, and beyond that too. But nevertheless, this is the culmination of the last 11 years of films. And it had a lot to live up to. Infinity War, I think, was a really well-made film. It had a lot of emotional moments. The plot was pretty snap tight for how many characters there were, how much there was going on. It was satisfying. I remember coming out and saying to the people I was with, how on earth are they going to follow that up with something that's emotionally satisfying, but also in a plot point of view that's going to tie everything up? How is that going to work? And I think for the most part, Endgame manages to do all of those things. I don't want to go into spoiler territory, so I'm going to have to jump around these ideas a little bit, but there is one very specific plot mechanism that I think is incredibly hokey, and it feels really forced. But I think it was necessary for them to create the kind of cathartic emotional moments with these characters that you've come to know and love. So they had to have a bit of a decision, I think. The Russo brothers and the script writers had to decide, do we have a really tight plot like we did in Infinity War, or do we have a few things that the audience are going to have to sort of run with us and forgive us for in order to get those climactic, emotional climaxes that we needed? And I think that they decided to make that payoff. So that's kind of the trade-off that you end up getting. You have to think, well, yeah, and you've kind of written yourself into a corner here slightly, but I see why you've done it, because if you didn't do it, we wouldn't have the moments that we've had that make the movie so emotional. And I think if you're invested as a Marvel fan, this film delivers in spades. I think if you've never seen a Marvel film, you're going to go in and go, what? Okay, fine. It kind of expects you to know all the previous films. And I know there's some people that I know that have gone in to see these films, and there's been certain, Endgame specifically, there's been certain moments that are real character-driven payoffs, and it goes completely over their heads because they haven't seen the other films. So I think it works on a level for the fans completely differently to it does to the average moviegoer. The script is very funny, and I think the Russo brothers, once again, as with their previous films, Civil War, Infinity War, Winter Soldier, they take those comedic elements, but they're able to marry that with the serious tone of the film. You know, these films do take themselves seriously in a narrative sense. And I'm glad, because I'm so sick of that whole postmodern, oh look, it's a superhero film, and we're going to poke fun at it. It's the whole Deadpool breaking the fourth wall thing, which is funny for about 5 minutes, and after that it just irritates me beyond compare. So I'm glad that the Russos have continued that method of taking the narrative seriously, but the comedic elements happening between the characters. It just makes the film work, and it means that you suspend your disbelief of the kind of hokey plot mechanisms, because you like those characters so much, and that just continues throughout. And you can tell that they care about these characters. People love these characters. They've gone and watched these people and these characters interact together now for 11 years, some of them. So it has to be the right send-off, and it has to have the right elements of characterization and the arcs ending. And to its credit, again, to the scriptwriter's credit, the arcs of these characters from the beginning of these films to this film has worked so well, and that is so satisfying to see after watching them for a number of years. I've seen a couple of mega contrarian takes on this film, saying, I can't believe that people can really have so much of an emotive reaction to a big battle of CGI monsters. And to those people I say, get fucked. You know, this isn't supposed to be a Bellatar auteur-driven piece of cinema. It's just a fun, popcorny superhero film. And with that, it still manages to take itself seriously, but not to a point where it seems po-faced like the DC universe does. It has comedic elements, and it just gives a really great send-off to these characters that people have known and loved now for over a decade. I don't have any cynicism at all for these films. I think that's the way you have to go into them. Go into them without cynicism. Lots of fun, and I'll probably go and see it again.